Okay, so the objective win rates for 1700 plus MR and Masters are out. Make sure to follow CatCami6 for the data. Thank you for that. Let's take a look and just discuss, how the meta is shaping up. Obviously, online win rates do not equal, objective power, but they're definitely a good starting point, and I'd love to know what you guys think about these and which characters you're having trouble with your own mains. Let's get into it. Okay, so thanks to CatCami, they actually ordered these in order of their overall win rate. So we could just see right off the bat, the characters that are performing the best in this elo are Ken, Ed, JP, Cammy, and Geef rounding up our top 5, and Akuma just shy at number 6. So Ken is a funny one because, at the start of this patch, you saw so much just garbage, okay, on Twitter about how Ken was going to be the worst Shoto this patch. Why would you play Ken? Like, you see it bothered me, Sejam did this, who's your top 5er now? And this was like a few weeks ago. And the only thing I had to say was that the Ken propaganda just did a number on the community. No one was saying Ken. Now, again, I'm not saying Ken's doing well, so he's a top 5 character objectively. I'm not trying to imply that, but he's obviously good, right? Tokido just won a huge tournament, stacked. He's doing super well online. He was a good character that didn't get nerfed. Why does everyone just think he's going to be bad? I don't know. On the subject of being the worst Shoto, the funniest part about Ken being the best character online in 1700 plus is that Ryu's the worst. So where have we come on these patches? It has not affected the online much, but honestly, to be serious, this game is extremely balanced, right? The worst character in the game has a 48% win rate online, whereas the best has a 52, right? That's like a 4% gap. That's not a big deal, right? That's like, at some point, you're gonna have to blame yourself in fighting games, and it's easier to blame yourself when you kind of realize your character being, 1-2% weaker isn't the reason you're losing some of these games. That's actually one of my favorite takeaways from this whole thing is that, the game is fairly balanced. Like, the best character in the game win rate wise has a 52% win rate. Like, big deal, right? That's not a big deal at all. Now, some of the individual matchups do not look quite good. I play Cammy, and I've been seeing so many more Geefs lately. They buffed the character. Maybe some of these Geefs are just 200 more MR than they did last patch. I don't know. And I noticed I'm fighting so many more of them, and I'm having a little bit of trouble. And I've noticed that Cammy is having a lot of trouble against Geef. 40% win rate into Zangief. And Lily and Manon, she kind of loses to the grapplers and a lot of the characters that are really good up close, like Marisa and Honda, the characters I don't want to fight anyway, and now I lose to them, and I don't want to fight them even more. A huge outlier here is Lily, who actually has a very good win rate overall, right? She's 7th overall. She has a 31% win rate into Dhalsim, right? Thank God that Dhalsim is not a popular character, or else these Lily players would be struggling. That's another thing to take in consideration when it comes to these win rates, right? One, how popular is a character and how well you do into them matters a lot, right? Like, so for Cammy does really well into Akuma. I actually thought this was going to be the case. I feel like even in older games like Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 4, Cammy felt good into Akuma. I don't remember if she won, but it always felt like a nice matchup. And as soon as I was playing the game, I was like, yeah, I feel like Cammy's going to win. And she does. And this is by far her most played matchup, right? 1994 games, nothing else is even coming close to 1,000. This is almost at 2,000. So having such a good win rate against the literal most popular character in ranked is a big buff, right? Like, you're going to win a lot of your games if you're playing a matchup, one of your best matchups very often, right? Now, maybe this changes a bit as Akumas get better. We don't really know for sure. So Zangief at 5, some people were predicting he was going to be one of the better characters of this patch. It looks like that is the case, but just as we expected, a character like Geef is like this, right? He has very polarizing matchups. If you have to fight him head on, like a character like Cammy, she wants to fight him in the mid range, but she can't like keep him very far out. She also wants to get kind of close with her dive kicks and whatnot. Like, she kind of playing into Geef's best part of his kit, which it'll make it strong. But characters that don't do that are very good against him, right? Ed can keep him out, JP can keep him out, Dhalsim can keep him out. It's kind of what we expect of Geef, but overall, I would actually expect an archetype like Geef to be much worse. You would expect him to kind of just get like shit on by so many characters that keep him out. But I think overall he's just been a much stronger character this patch, which leads him overall to be, the 5th best character win rate wise in 1700 plus. Akuma at number 6, like we talked about, I actually think he'll go up over time. I do think he'll lose to Cammy long term. A lot of these other ones that are 48, 49, 50, 51, they're all just kind of even. It's kind of what I would expect out of Akuma. I actually think he will beat Dhalsim long term. We'll see about that. I think maybe Chun-Li will give him a hard time long term. In my head, the only characters that Akuma will lose to in the long run are Cammy and Chun. So this kind of all shapes up. He has some of that are a little bit worse right now, 49 into DJ, 48 into Ken, but we'll see how that goes over time. Akuma panning out just as we thought, a very strong character, probably going to get stronger as people get better with him, and he's currently just outside the top 5 here. Lily, again, just like Geef, very surprising. She has such bad matchups into so many like niche characters, I guess you could say, right? Dhalsim you don't see very often, Blanca you don't see very often. Aki's getting a little bit more popular, but she's getting shit on by Aki. But she has such good win rates into some popular characters, right? 55 into Cammy, 53 into Geef, 61 into Marissa. Holy shit. Lily just shits on Marissa, eh? I didn't know that. If anyone plays those characters, let me know why. Jury. The problem here with Jury is that she's losing so hard to the other good characters, quote unquote, right? She's losing to Zangief, she's losing to Ed quite a bit. She's getting shit on by Ken, who's like a very popular, very strong character in my opinion. And that's no good. Same with Luke, right? Jury and Luke are two characters people expect to be good, and I think they will be. But them having such bad matchups into very popular characters, and it's not even that they might be popular online, these are characters you're going to see in tournament, right? If you play Jury or Luke, you're going to be fighting Kens, you're going to be fighting Cammys. That's kind of rough. They're both beating JP, which is good. Luke is shitting on Zangief while Jury is kind of getting pooped on. Wow, Luke destroys DJ this patch. I actually did not know. And Blanca. I have to pick up Luke. I have trouble with DJ and Blanca. I guess that's just because Cammy has trouble with DJ and Blanca. How's Luke doing to E Honda? 45? Shit. I need someone that just beats E Honda for free. Who beats E Honda for free? Ken? I'm picking up Ken. I'm never losing Honda again. Yeah, so rounding off the top half, we have Manon and Dawson. These are both characters that were very bad last patch. Although I do think that Dawson kind of always has a pretty good win rate in Masters. His really bad matchup here is Rashid. That kind of makes sense if you think about it. I would imagine he doesn't do too well into Cammy either. 41. Oh, there's the pictures here again. Wow, Cammy just does it all. It's so much easier to read. I didn't realize there's pictures halfway through. So yeah, some of these like crazy polarizing matchups are insane. Like a 31% win rate is bad. Like that's bad. 36 also very bad. I would say anything under like 45, like you're struggling. Like you have to gap that person to win that matchup. And there's quite a few of those in this game. So even though overall the game feels balanced, I think, you know, as we talked about earlier, 52 to 48 is like a good like overall win rate. In terms of individual matchups, some of these seem like disgusting to play. Like I would never in my life want to play a 31% win rate matchup at top level. Okay, these are like some of the best Lilies against some of the best Dhalsims, and the Lilies who have been grinding their life away cannot seem to take wins off these Dhalsims. Well, they can 30% of the time. But the fact that they're so rare is another telling thing, is that when people say a matchup is 7-3, I'm like, are you insane? You know how rare that is? There's one in this game, okay, maybe two. Statistically speaking, in 1700 plus, there's like two in this game. I mean, maybe there's lower. Maybe there's more when we go lower. Blanca versus Honda. Okay, there's a few. But I'm saying, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, this matchup's so hard, it's gotta be like 7-3. I'm like, don't say that. That's such an exaggeration, you know? I think Cammy Geef is bad. I wouldn't even say it's 6-4, even though the stats are telling me it's like almost quite literally 6-4. Cammy's winning 40% of the time, but it feels just like a hard matchup. But you know, you can win, it feels winnable. You just have to gap a little bit, you know, big deal. Anyway, let's look at some other crazy outliers here. DJ fell off quite a bit. He did get pretty bad nerfs, I would say, amongst the top tier. He got hit some of the hardest, maybe. He's doing very well into Dhalsim and Rashid. I'm surprised he does so well into Rashid, and I'm surprised Rashid in general is just not doing that well, right? I think Rashid and Guile are two characters that people expect to be really good, and they're just not doing too well at these top elos. Maybe if we saw like only legend win rates, these would change, because that's like the best of the best, but like those win rates would have such small sample sizes that it's like barely even worth looking at. So it's hard to tell with these kinds of things, right? There's always like a theoretical which characters are the best, and in order to like reach that theoretical peak, you have to look at like literally the best players at that character, right? Because the difference between a 1700 Guile and a 2000 Guile is already huge, right? But if you only look at the 2000 Guile's games as like your measure, then the sample rate is too small. So it's very hard subject to talk about, but either way, I like graphs like this because it's a good starting block for these discussions. And I love to hear other people's opinions. Okay, so let's take a look at Rashid. He's getting destroyed by Manon and DJ, as we talked about in a sec. That seems to be it. Yeah, his other matchups seem to be, you know, in the high 40s, low 50s. So he's doing pretty well overall. He's destroying Guile. He's destroying Dhalsim. That's good. What about Aki? She's destroying Dhalsim. Dhalsim is like this. He either shits on you, red, green. Like he's like such an extreme end. Like he has all these greens, all these reds. You know what I mean? Like you look at the top, like Ken or Akuma even. You know, you see like mostly like this grayish, light tinted green, light tinted red across the board. You go to Dhalsim, it's just red, green. The darkest red you ever seen in your life. The greenest green you ever seen in your life. That dank green right there against Lily. Kind of funny. Chun-Li is looking like she's got a lot of reds against the more popular characters, which is kind of sad for her. Overall, her win rates just look kind of unimpressive in general, which I'm surprised about. I feel like a character with just like solid neutral, solid fundies like Chun would usually just do well, like pretty well against most matchups. You know, she could hold her own, but some of these look quite bad, right? 43 into Cammy, that's very surprising to me. 43 into Geef, Chun-Li Geef. I feel like Chun-Li Geef was one of those matchups in like so many games that you'd expect Chun to just win with her brain off, and she's getting destroyed. What did they do to Geef this patch? What did they do to Geef? Getting beat on by Manon as well, so maybe she's just having a trouble with like grapplers. What about like Marisa? 53, she's winning. She's not a grappler, but I feel like similar archetype where characters you don't really want to get close to. Yeah, Chun matchups don't really make sense to me, I'm not gonna lie. She's shitting on E Honda and Ryu. Good for her, you're beating the characters that everyone's beating. That's actually an over-exaggeration. Honda actually has a lot of polarizing matchups as well. Jamie's a character I always wanted to play since I first saw him, and I just have never wanted to play him again since I tried him. He's not very fun in my opinion for how cool he looks. Anyway, no rant about that. He's getting destroyed by Geef. Pretty standard matchups, you know, not too dark, not too light green. Getting destroyed by Dhalsim, that kind of makes sense. He has to kind of... Honestly, I'm surprised it's only 45. In my head, Jamie against Dhalsim and Guile should be so hard for him because Jamie's a character who has to give up Oki to get stronger. And if he doesn't get stronger, he's just like an objectively weak character almost. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I shouldn't say objectively. Someone's gonna be like, oh, his sleep is so good or something, you know, whatever. But to get on par or his peak, he needs to give up Oki. And you never want to give up Oki against a character like Dhalsim or Guile because it's so hard to get back in on them, right? So in my head, those matchups should be really bad, but 45 is not, it's not the worst, right? It's doable. How's he doing into Guile? 47, not the worst. Getting shit on by Honda. Welcome to the club, my friend. Kimberly's having a tough time against Ken, a tough time against Cammy, a tough time against Shuri. Doesn't seem to have any crazy good matchups. Honda, okay. I'm surprised that Kim's beating Honda so hard. Marisa getting destroyed by Ed, makes sense. Destroyed by Lily, talked about that a bit earlier. Beating Guile very convincingly. Wait, Marisa's beating Guile. That makes sense, actually. I remember Big Bird used to shit on Guiles too. I wonder why. Again, I don't play either of those characters. Honda getting absolutely destroyed by Ken. We talked about that a bit earlier. I'm gonna have to pick up Ken. Lily, Manon. Honda has like some polarizing matchups too, right? Like he's doing really bad into like Ken, really good into Blanca and Luke. Luke is so random to me. Good into Jamie, terrible into Chun-Li, you know, it's Honda. It's funny because Honda usually has very good win rates online. This is like kind of a joke, but maybe it's serious that from what I heard, I don't play Honda. The patch made him less kind of like janky, turn your brain off, do headbutts, but like he's actually much better as a solid neutral character. And if you play Honda, you're probably not good at that, right? Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe there are some Honda players who have just the best neutral. It wouldn't be surprised. But on average, I feel like the people who pick Honda, they want to do the headbutts, want to do the funny, fake their overhead into command grabs, whatever. And if all that kind of stuff got worse, maybe this is why this is like the first time he's been on the lower end of win rates for online play. You know, not sure. Guile being low, as we talked about earlier, very surprising to me. He's destroying Ed, but losing to so many of the popular good characters. How's he doing to Akuma? 48, not the worst. I actually thought Akuma would do quite well into Guile. He's beating Dhalsim. Again, Dhalsim, another one of those characters, very polarizing. He's beating Aki. He's getting shit on by Marisa, we just talked about. Kimberly, Ryu, and yeah, Ryu just... I don't think he has a single dark green matchup. He doesn't. Ryu has 0 dark green matchups. He has not shit on anyone. A lot of grays, a lot of light reds. So like, you know, they're doable matchups, but a few really bad matchups, right? Like Cammy, not surprising. 44 into Chun, not that surprising, but overall, not that bad. Getting destroyed by Guile. Honestly, Ryu's matchup spread for being like the quote-unquote worst character in the game winner-wise, it doesn't look terrible. Yeah, he's not like destroying any matchups. 52 is pretty good. 50.1 is not bad against Ken, I guess. But like, he doesn't have like these crazy polarizing matches. He kind of does against some of these characters. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. He's not the best. Anyway, I just want to quickly go over, talk about how the meta is shaping up online. I want to know your guys' thoughts on your character. Are you surprised on your character's placements here? Are you surprised on any of the individual matchups about your character? Which character do you actually think is the best despite their online win rates? I would love to know everything. I just want to have a quick discussion with you guys. I will see you in the 1700 plus average MR players stats for the next month, okay? Every single one of you watching this video, we're all gonna be a part of this statistic in the next month, okay? Stay beautiful, my friends. I'll see you for the next one.